Are you nearing retirement age or already retired and are thinking about downsizing your home? Nowadays, downsizing can take on a lot of different forms, and the right path for you will be dictated by your unique needs. I work with a lot of folks in Southern Ontario to help them answer the question, do I have enough? In other words, do I have enough money to live off of and do the things that I want to do in retirement if I sell my home? In today's video, we're going to be exploring how you can use the cash from the sale of your home to support you through your retirement years. So if you're looking to downsize and not sure how to make it work financially, you've come to the right place. So for the scenarios that I'm going to go through today, we've assumed that if you sell your home, you're going to be putting the money in the bank and then doing something with it. In other words, you're going to be investing it in some capacity. You're probably not just going to leave it at the bank doing nothing. And when we say do something with it, we're going to assume that you're going to probably earn a conservative rate of return of about 5%. We've also assumed inflation of 3%, meaning that whatever costs you have, any monthly ongoing costs you have, are probably going to go up by, let's say, 3% a year for a certain number of years. And then also, as we're going through this, I have not included other sources of income. So, some folks will have things like RIF or LIF or pension income, as well as old age security and CPP. I have not included any of that in my cash flow analysis. Rather, I've said if you sell your home and you do something with the proceeds to either rent or buy, how long will that specific money last? How long will it last if you buy something? And how long will it last if you rent and have ongoing monthly expenses? Okay, so that's just what we're looking at today. We have not included any other sources of income in our analysis. And when answering the question, how do I make it work financially when I downsize, there's a lot of different things to consider. For example, should you be downsizing and maybe buying another cheaper place? Should you be looking to rent or buy? And what can you afford to rent or buy? And when thinking about downsizing and how to make it work financially, a few other questions come to mind. Some of these other questions might be, well, if I sell my primary home, which might be my biggest asset that I own, how do I absolutely make sure that I don't run out of money? Or should I gift assets to my children now, or should I gift them through my will? And finally, one of the biggest questions is, how can I avoid tax on the sale of my home? So in today's video, we're going to be answering the question of how do I make a downsize work financially? And we're also going to touch on some of these other subjects that I just mentioned. Now, everyone has a different background and different set of circumstances, but it's not unreasonable to think that if you own a home in Southern Ontario, that you could have maybe $1 million, $1.5 million, or even $2 million worth of equity in that home. And so, of course, when you sell your home, what do you do with the proceeds? In today's video, we're going to be looking at 3 different popular options of what to do when you sell your home. The first one being sell your home and rent. The second option being sell your home and buy a retirement condo style unit, which maybe the cost of that unit is a little bit less than a traditional condo, but it comes with monthly condo fees that are going to include some meals and basic services. And then finally, a third option is what do you do if you sell your home and buy a traditional condo unit that comes with less expensive monthly maintenance costs. As we go through the scenarios today, keep in mind that I'm assuming that when you sell your home, you get a check from the sale of your home, you deposit it in the bank, you're going to do something with that money. You're not just going to leave it sitting as cash because you recognize that you need to get some sort of growth on that money in order to extend how long it lasts. Okay, and so through the assumptions that we're going through today, when we take that money and we do something with it, keep in mind we're not assuming, a very high speculative rate of return here. We're looking at very conservative options that are low to no risk. Okay, we're also taking in mind the current sort of economic landscape, and we're assuming that over time your living costs are going to go up with inflation, and that your rate of return is going to be somewhat conservative on any sort of investing you do. Okay, so just something to keep in mind as we go through these different scenarios today. Let's look at our first scenario. We assume you sell your home, you walk away with some amount of money, and then you go and rent somewhere at a rate of about $5,000 a month. How long will that money last that you get from the sale of your home? So like I said before, if you sell your home, you're going to walk away with some amount of money. Now, you're probably not going to leave it just in your checking account at your bank. You're going to do something with that money. So let's assume that you do something with the money and you earn a conservative rate of return of about 5%. And considering, the current inflation rate, let's assume that the cost of your rent is actually going to go up 3% every year. So in other words, 3% inflation. So we're getting a 5% return on our investment with 3% inflation. If you sell your home for $1 million, you rent for $5,000 a month, again, assuming 5% return, 3% inflation, that money will last you 20 years. If you sell your home for $1.5 to $2 million under these same conditions, the money will last you for over 30 years. Now let's look at our second scenario that we see frequently. This is going to involve selling your home and then purchasing a retirement style condo unit that you buy for about $500,000. And that's going to come with monthly condo expenses of about $2,900. Now, what do you get for that $2,900? Well, there is places in Southern Ontario that for $2,900 will include access to a nurse, about 4 hours of housekeeping each week. It's going to include your property tax, your hydro, and some meals, as well as a shuttle bus to take you around to do your errands. So using our previous numbers, if you walk away from the sale of your home with $1 million and put $500,000 down on a new condo unit, you will have $500,000 available to invest. Now again, assuming a conservative rate of return of 5% and inflation of 3%, which implies that your monthly condo fees of $2,900 are going to go up by 3% a year. Under this scenario, if you sell your home for $1 million, the money will last you about 17 years. If you're looking at selling your home for more like $1.5 million or $2 million, that money that you net after buying the new retirement condo unit, you're going to have enough money for at least the next 40 years. So far in the first two scenarios we've considered, there is a lot of flexibility that will allow you to gift money to your children or grandchildren if you wish. So in most cases, the money is going to last you close to 20 years if you sell your home and then either rent or you choose to buy a retirement condo unit. So there's going to be some money left over that will be available for gifting. As well, keep in mind one of the questions we had was, well, how do I avoid tax when I sell my home? Keep in mind in that Ontario, if you sell your primary home, you will not be taxed on it. So after paying any sort of closing cost or realtor fees, there's not going to be any taxes on the sale of your home, provided that it is your primary residence. The third option we see a lot, which might actually come before the first two scenarios that we reviewed, is selling your home and moving into more of a traditional condo that's not necessarily a specific retirement condo unit. We know that when we move into a retirement condo, it usually often comes with condo fees. So let's assume purchasing a condo for $800,000, and for that price point, we'd probably see condo fees for about $650 a month. Now, for that $650 a month, you're going to get a lot less service than you would in the previous example we just looked at. If you sell your home and purchase a condo for about $800,000, assuming that the condo fees are going to be about $650 a month, how long will your money last? Well, selling your place for $1 million and buying another place for $800,000 implies that you would have about $200,000 net. If you're only spending $650 a month on condo fees, well, your money's going to last over 30 years. And then if we assume you're selling your home for $1.5 or $2 million, at a rate of $650 a month, your money's going to last you, over 30 years. So certainly there's enough there to pay the condo fees. And also, like we talked about before, if you want to gift money to anyone in your family, you're going to have a lot of flexibility to do that as well. Keep in mind with this scenario, you still own an asset that's worth $800,000. So what you might do is purchase that condo unit that for $800,000, live in it for a while, and then move to something that's going to be more like that retirement condo unit that's going to come at a slightly cheaper capital cost but a higher monthly cash flow cost, or move on to something where you're going to rent for maybe $5,000 to $6,000 a month. Up until this point, I've shown you some options to consider if you are thinking about downsizing and what your cash flow could look like. But if you are downsizing, you are putting money in the bank, you want to make sure that it's going to last a certain amount of time. So how do you actually make sure that your money is going to last 10, 15, 20, or even more years? I'm sure most of us are familiar with GIC ladders. So a GIC provides a guaranteed rate of return. It's going to come to you at a low to no cost. And right now, current GIC rates are the highest they've been in a very long time. You can get a 1-year GIC for over 5% today. So if you're looking for a very conservative, guaranteed rate of return, you might want to look at a GIC ladder. This is the process of taking some of your capital, buying a GIC that matures in 1, 2, 3, or 5 years, and then knowing that you're going to have a certain amount of cash flow available as those GICs mature. Some of the cons with the GIC, though, is that once the money is in a GIC, it is locked in, meaning that if you need more money, you're going to have to pay a penalty to take the money out of the GIC. Doing a GIC ladder is going to involve a little bit more cash flow planning, because you're going to want to make sure that your money isn't tied up in a GIC at a time when you might need it. So we're going to be looking ahead 5 years to make sure that you're going to have cash flow when you need it. Now, I talked about how today GIC rates are above 5%. This might not always be the case. It wasn't too long ago that a 1-year GIC was closer to 1%. And so while we're living in this high inflation, high interest rate environment right now, we might not be a few years from now. And so we might not be able to get a GIC at 5%. Another option to consider for helping to guarantee your cash flow with proceeds from the sale of your house is an annuity contract. With an annuity contract, you set up a contract with an insurance company and you pay them a certain amount of money, which would be your capital payment. Under this scenario, you might be writing a check for a couple $100,000 to the insurance company, but they are going to guarantee you a certain payment stream for the rest of your life. So this means guaranteed cash flow for life. And right now, some annuity rates are above 6%. So this is a great way to lock in a certain rate of return and truly is a set it and forget it strategy. Now, what I like about this is that you can assign a beneficiary. So if you build in some sort of guarantee to your annuity contract and you pass away early on in the term, your beneficiary is going to get some money from that. One of the cons is that once you set up that annuity contract, your cash flow will remain fixed for life. So while that is a pro, it is also a con, because if costs go up exponentially, your cash flow will remain steady. As well, after you've purchased the annuity contract, the principal is locked in and you cannot access it again. And finally, a third option you might want to consider if you're looking at selling your home and living off of the proceeds is building out something like a balanced or even a blue chip dividend paying stock portfolio. Some of the pros about this option is that you'd be buying stocks, bank stocks, telecom stocks in Canada, stable companies that are going to provide you with monthly or quarterly dividend cash flow. So not only are you going to be receiving cash flow from dividends, but also the actual value of the stocks you hold can go up in value as well. So you could live off probably some of the dividends and keep more of the principal intact. You can obviously increase your cash flow over time if needed by dipping into more of the principal, which isn't as much of an option with the first two options that we looked at. As well, under this option, because you're going to be able to access some of that principal, you can gift money or leave a legacy more easily. This option does come with a little bit more higher risk than the first two options, which tend to provide more of a guaranteed rate of return. As well, with something like this, you might be looking at a slightly higher cost and building out a GIC portfolio. While all those three options might look good individually, they certainly look a lot better if used in combination. So if you're looking to sell your home and live off the proceeds, we'd probably be looking at doing a portion of your portfolio to be guaranteed income through something like an annuity or GIC ladder, and then another portion of your portfolio being in something more like a balanced portfolio or dividend paying stock portfolio, so that you're guaranteeing some of your income, but you're also leaving some available for future growth. In today's video, we certainly looked at some very high level scenarios, but we recognize that everyone's situation is going to be so different. So if you're looking for a strategy of how to make sure that your money lasts if you sell your home and downsize, we encourage you to give us a call and book a consultation, and we can put together a cash flow plan for you. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please check out our website for more information like this. Thank you for watching.